Let's look at Anthony Ryder from South Lyon, Michigan, recently selected as the Lions 2020 Fan of the Year. He has a passion about sports broadcasting.
With the 112th selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver, USC. One pride, baby! Yeah!
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Detroit Lions video. Now, about a month ago, Brad Holmes had mentioned that the number 2 overall pick that the Lions currently hold in this year's NFL Draft was very much up for trade, and that he had had multiple discussions with multiple different teams about the potential of getting a deal done for that team to move up to number 2 and the Lions to move back and acquire more trading assets. And he said in that interview that he believed over the next month or so leading into the NFL Draft that trade talks would increase, that trade talks would heat up, and that they would inch closer and closer to a final deal. However, in his most recent press conference, Brad Holmes has actually said the opposite and has said that over the last month or so since that initial quote, that trade talks have actually decreased, and that the likelihood of the Detroit Lions making a deal and trading down from the number 2 overall pick is in fact less likely now than it was a month ago. And today we are going to talk about this situation. We are going to talk about, what teams we thought might trade up, why they may not be trading up, and what situation this leaves the Detroit Lions in. So starting off with teams that we thought may be trade candidates for the Detroit Lions, there were a lot of them. People thought the Texans, the Giants, the Jets, the Falcons, the Seahawks, the Saints, the Eagles. I mean, some people even said the Baltimore Ravens could have interest in this pick. Almost any team would be interested in a top 2 pick in a lot of draft classes. However, without an elite generational quarterback in this year's class, the trade market for a top 5 pick simply hasn't been there, right? This class is not incredibly talented at the top end, right? I think Kayvon Thibodeaux's got a lot of upside. I think Travon Walker and Malik Willis have a lot of upside. I think that Kyle Hamilton and Aiden Hutchinson will be stars on day one, but there's no Trevor Lawrence in this class. There's no Andrew Luck. There's no generational quarterback that we've been waiting 3 years to come out of the college football ranks. There is no elite quarterback prospect, and for that reason, a lot of teams have not been willing to give up the assets necessary in order to acquire the 2nd overall pick, right? If you're talking about moving somewhere inside the top 5 with the Jets or the Giants, you're talking about maybe a couple mid-round picks. If you're talking about moving outside the top 5, then you kind of get into that range of maybe you're looking for a future first-round pick around the Seahawks or the Falcons range. And then if you're moving outside of the top 10 entirely, you may be talking about multiple first-round picks, if not even players to trade away in that deal. There's a lot of different trading scenarios that we've talked about on this channel. However, in recent news, it seems as though many of those scenarios are not going to come true, as the suitors for the number 2 overall pick simply just aren't available anymore. So where does that leave the Detroit Lions, and how does Brad Holmes feel about sticking with the number 2 overall pick? Well, based off of his press conference, he seems pretty confident in his team. And although there is no ideal scenario for the Detroit Lions, I think there's a red flag for just about every single player you could potentially look out in the top 10, right? Going over Aiden Hutchinson's limited ceiling and asking how much room does he have to truly grow and develop? How much better can he get than where he is right now? Kayvon Thibodeaux obviously has the personality concerns. Travon Walker has concerns about production and being incredibly raw as a prospect, as does Malik Willis, right? Having just that mindset of Malik Willis is such a raw quarterback. What if we can't develop him properly? And just the timing not necessarily being great and perfect for the Detroit Lions while having Goff on 2 more years of a contract with the Detroit Lions. You obviously have Kyle Hamilton, who you talk about positional value, talk about a potential injury that's been affecting his speed and testing numbers over the past couple of weeks. You look at Ike Mekwonu or any of the tackle prospects, and you could say that, okay, we don't need a tackle. We have arguably a top 5 offensive line in talent in the NFL. Why would we add to a strength when we have so many other holes that need to be filled? And then a lot of people from the comment section seem to think that if you didn't play in the SEC, you aren't worthy of a top 5 pick, right? And that applies to everybody but Travon Walker. However, with all these red flags and even with all the problems in the top 5 this year, Brad Holmes seems to be incredibly confident about what they can do with that number 2 overall pick. He was quoted saying in his press conference that there are a cluster of players they've identified as a fit at number 2 and that they have pretty evenly graded. Brad Holmes has also been quoted saying that, quote, "We do have it narrowed down and we feel confident that we are at with where we are at, with how we have it pared down, and we will just let the process unfold." As of right now, it seems as though they feel very, very confident about where they are at in the scouting process, and it sounds like they have their guy picked out. And we will talk about what guy that might be based on other quotes from this particular press conference and from other quotes from guys like Dan Campbell and some of the other coaches. We can narrow it down and maybe find out who the Lions are looking at and leaning towards a little bit more, but it seems like the Detroit Lions have their guy. It seems like they are very confident in the number 2 overall pick, that even if they cannot get a deal done, that they will end up with one of the best players in this class. The Lions, now a lot of people think that the top of this class is one of the worst places to be because of all the red flags that were talked about earlier, but honestly, I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. Right, Aiden Hutchinson is still a great player. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux, if you can guarantee his personality situation is okay, he will be a fantastic player. Kyle Hamilton will be a fantastic player. You know, Malik Willis, I think, will have the potential, and I think will be a great player in the NFL. Ike Mekwonu is a top player in this class. He is the best player in this class, in my opinion. He is the safest with a high upside. He is the best graded player in this class by me. However, it just doesn't fit situationally and positionally with what the Lions can afford to draft. So if there is going to be a team to trade up, I think it's still possible. I think that if you find a team that falls in love with a tackle, that needs a tackle really big in this year's class, maybe like somewhere like the Baltimore Ravens, maybe at 13, if they really get desperate, they could potentially look to trade up or something along those lines. I think there is still a situation and a scenario where the Detroit Lions find a trade partner in the 2022 NFL Draft. But as of right now, it seems like they're going to be stuck at number 2. If they're going to trade a first-round pick in 2022, it seems as though it will be the 32nd pick, which I think is the more realistic and even the likely option to get a trade partner in the 2022 NFL Draft. But as of right now, the Lions are stuck at number 2. There aren't very many suitors, there aren't very many trade scenarios, and Brad Holmes and the Detroit Lions seem incredibly confident in their ability to find a star at number 2. Now again, who will they take at number 2? That is a video and that is a question for another day, as we will be talking about tomorrow the entirety of the press conference, all of the quotes, all of the things that Brad Holmes has said this offseason, and try to narrow down who could be going with the number 2 overall selection. But with all of that being said, that is all I have for you guys today. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think about this scenario? How do you feel that the Detroit Lions may be stuck at number 2? How would you feel if the Detroit Lions were not able to find a trading partner? And if the Detroit Lions are stuck at number 2, what player and what prospect is your number 1 guy to go off the board and be wearing the Honolulu blue? I'd be very curious what you guys think. But with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Again, let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below about this potential scenario. But with all of that being said, that is all for you guys today. Thank you all so very much for watching, and until next time, and as always, go Lions!